I never thought I'd be the kind of man who writes this down, but the secret nights with my younger colleague have burned a hole in my chest I can't ignore anymore. Every morning I kiss my wife goodbye at our suburban door like nothing has changed, my lips pressing lightly to her cheek the way I have for years. Yet my hands still remember the curve of a body that isn't hers, the warmth that lingered long after the moment passed, leaving me breathless and ashamed. This is my confession. Raw, shameful, and impossible to stop. I'm writing it now because the guilt is eating me alive. And the pull. It's stronger than my will to fight it. My days were ordinary before the intrusion crept in. 43, 15 years married to Sarah, holding a steady position as project manager at a mid-sized design firm where deadlines came and went without much fanfare. We had settled into the comfortable silence of long-term marriage, shared mortgage that bound us tighter than any vow some days, weekend grocery runs where we moved through the aisles in quiet sync, picking up the same bread and milk without needing to ask. Polite sex once a month that felt more like a gentle habit than the hunger we used to share, her body familiar under my hands but the spark long faded. The house smelled of her lavender laundry detergent on every towel and sheet, the faint coffee rain on the kitchen counter that I'd trace with my finger while waiting for the pot to brew. Everything felt safe, predictable. Dead, I'd come home exhausted from the office. Sarah would greet me with a quick hug that ended too soon, her lavender scent fading as she turned back to the stove. We'd eat in comfortable quiet, the TV murmuring in the background, but inside I felt the days stretching endless and empty, craving something, anything, to make me feel alive again. Then Emma joined the team, 28. Fresh from grad school, assigned to my department for the new client pitch that everyone said could change everything for the firm. She was the kind of beautiful that made the whole open-plan office feel smaller, sharp green eyes that held a quiet intensity, a quick laugh that seemed to brighten the fluorescent lights around her, always in crisp white blouses that hugged just enough to make the air feel charged. The first time she walked into the conference room, the air shifted. I was standing there at the front, clicking through slides with practiced ease, when the door opened and she stepped in. Heels clicking softly, portfolio clutched in her hand, that bright smile spreading across her lips as if the room had been waiting for her. Her vanilla scent reached me across the table before she even sat down, warm and sweet like a summer rain, cutting through the stale coffee smell of the office. She chose the chair closest to mine because it was the only one left, her arm brushing the edge of the table near my notes. I felt my breath catch in my throat. This sudden wave of heat rising and bide, and as her green eyes lifted to meet mine during the introductions, I told myself it was nothing. She was just a colleague. I was married. But the way her voice sounded when she said her name, soft and confident, sent a low pulse through me that I hated myself for noticing. Sarah's face appeared in my mind then, her tired smile from that morning's goodbye kiss, the lavender clinging to her sweater. And the guilt slammed into me hard, twisting like a knot I couldn't loosen. This shouldn't be happening. Not to me. Not like this. Yet, as she leaned forward slightly to listen, her presence so close I could almost feel the warmth from her skin, I knew the ordinary life I'd clung to was already starting to crack. And I was powerless to look away. It was during our first late-night deadline that everything tilted. The kind of shift you feel in your bones before you can name it. The office lights had dropped low, leaving only the glow of the monitor and the hush of an empty floor. Everyone else had gone home hours ago. Emma leaned in close to point at a line on the screen, her shoulder grazing mine, and for one heartbeat her blouse slipped open just enough. The gentle shadow falling where it shouldn't have. Her vanilla scent drifted across my face, warm and sweet like rain on skin I had no right to imagine. My stomach tightened hard. He trudged through me so fast I gripped the mouse until my fingers ached, desperate to steady the sudden tremor that had no place in a married man's chest. "This is wrong," the voice in my head hissed. Sharp and ashamed. She's 28, bright with possibilities I gave up long ago. I have Sarah at home, her lavender scent still clinging to the collar of my shirt from this morning's kiss goodbye. But that half-second image etched itself behind my eyes anyway, refusing to fade even as I blinked it away. From then the project became our tether, pulling us into routines that felt too easy, too dangerous. Shared screens where our arms hovered inches apart, back-to-back deadlines that kept the building quiet around us long after dark. Every morning her heels clicked past my desk, sharp and sure, the sound alone enough to make my breath catch before I could stop it. We started eating lunch at the same corner table because it was practical, she said with that quick smile, just to keep the work moving without losing time. One afternoon her knee brushed mine under the table. Warm through the thin fabric, a beat longer than accident allowed. The contact hummed like static under my skin, low and insistent. Guilt clawed at me then. Sarah would see the distraction in my eyes if she looked too close. But my body answered with a quiet pulse I couldn't quiet, leaving the air between us heavier, thicker with words we both pretended not to hear. The first touch that truly undid my balance came on a Thursday when she twisted her ankle heading to the printer. A soft stumble, a quick gasp, and I moved without thinking, my palm catching her elbow, pressing against the warm bare skin of her arm. She didn't step back. Those green eyes lifted to mine, soft and grateful, her breath warm against my collar as she whispered, "Thanks. I don't know what I'd do without you." The moment stretched, her skin's heat sinking into my fingers like a secret I couldn't return. I let go too slowly, the ghost of that warmth following me all the way to my car. That night I lay beside Sarah, her breathing steady and familiar in the dark, the lavender sheets cool against my back. How mine replayed the exact temperature of Emma's arm, the way her voice had trembled just enough to crack something open inside me. Sarah shifted closer in her sleep, her hand brushing my chest innocently, but the contrast only sharpened the ache. The hunger louder now, the guilt twisting tighter, and I stared at the ceiling wondering how long I could keep pretending this pull was still innocent. I hated myself every single time the bedroom door clicked shut behind me, the sound slicing through the quiet house like an accusation I couldn't outrun. There in the dark, Sarah's breathing steady and familiar beside me. Emma would flood my thoughts without warning, those green eyes that lingered on me across the desk, the soft curve of her smile that made the whole room feel charged and small. "She's your colleague," the voice in my head would hiss, raw and ashamed. "You're 43 with 15 years of marriage behind you. This is the exact path that leaves everything in ruins." Shungers would curl into the sheets as I lay there, the lavender from her pillow a quiet rebuke against my skin. Yet the excuses slipped in so easily, like they belonged there. "She's brand new, needs steady guidance through this pitch that could decide everything." The project's make or break for the promotion we've been banking on, and Sarah has been drifting further away since her mother's diagnosis, our evenings shrinking to polite silences and half-hearted goodnights. I'm only mentoring her, nothing more, I told myself, the words tasting thin but buying me just enough space to breathe. The guilt knotted harder in my chest with every passing hour, a constant twist I couldn't loosen, but the hunger answered louder now, pulling at me like an undertow I was too tired to fight. Those late nights became the fuel to weeks later, the empty office turning into a world of its own under low lights and the faint city hum beyond the windows. A half-empty whiskey bottle from the client's stash sat open between us, and Emma's laugh shifted low and husky, wrapping around the silence like something alive. She kicked off her heels with a quiet's eye, sliding her stockinged feet onto the chair right beside mine, the silk brushing my calf in a slow graze that wasn't quite nothing. The air grew heavy with her vanilla scent tangled in the whiskey's sharp warmth and the subtle heat rising from her skin so close I could feel it on my own. She leaned in to show me the revised slide, her hair tumbling across my shoulder like a breath I hadn't turned, carrying that sweet warmth straight to my face, her voice soft near my ear as she traced the changes. My hand moved before I could stop it, settling on her knee beneath the table, the fabric warm from her body, neither of us speaking a word about it. The almost moment stretched thick between us, our breaths falling into the same uneven rhythm, the nearness humming like static we both refused to name. Like gravity winning again, the very next night the janitor's cart rattled down the hall, keys jingling just outside our door right as Emma's fingers slipped under my tie, tracing the line of my collarbone with a lightness that sent heat rushing through me in waves. We froze, hearts hammering loud enough to drown everything else, the air suddenly electric and breathless with how close we'd come. He paused, then moved on, and once the sound faded, we broke into shaky laughter that left us trembling nearer than before, relief sharpening the hunger into something fiercer, more alive. That interruption didn't cool the fire, it fed it, the risk turning every glance afterward into a secret we carried like smoke in our lungs. By the following Friday, my phone had become an obsession, checked every few minutes for her messages that made my pulse skip with their careful words and hidden weight. Sarah noticed over dinner, her eyes searching mine as she passed the salt, and asked softly why I'd seemed so far away lately, the worry threading through her voice like a warning I couldn't quite hear. I lied without missing a beat, blaming the project deadlines, but inside I was screaming how I couldn't stop replaying her nearness. The way everything tilted when she was close, the invisible pull dragging me back no matter how hard I tried to stay grounded. The risks felt closer now, brushing against the edges of what we'd built. Yet that very closeness only made the ache burn deeper. Emma appeared at my desk, eyes glistening not just from the downpour, voice trembling in a way that cracked something deep inside me. I know this is crazy, but I've wanted you since the first week. I'm not asking you to leave your wife. I just need one night where I feel wanted. The vulnerability in her words hit like a wave I couldn't outrun, flooding every excuse it clung to. My mind roared, "Don't you dare," Sarah's face flashing sharp and trusting behind my eyes, the mortgage and the quiet dinners and 15 years suddenly heavy as stone. But my hands had already moved, closing the last inch between us, her warmth pressing through my shirt until the air itself felt too thin to breathe. We didn't speak as we slipped into the conference room, the door locking with a soft final click that sealed everything. The rain kept falling, steady and unforgiving, while the heat between us built like a storm of its own. Her breath warm against my neck, the vanilla scent wrapping tighter, the nearness humming until the last wall inside me simply gave way. In that locked hush, the hunger we'd circled for weeks finally claimed the space, pulling us under in a rush of trembling closeness that left no room for anything else. Her name slipped from me like a prayer I hadn't meant to say, the pleasure sharp as falling, bodies aligned in a way that felt dangerously right. When the moment crested and broke, we lay angled on the wide table, breathing hard into the quiet, her fingers tracing slow circles on my chest. "We fit perfectly," she whispered, voice soft and wondering, and for the first time in years I felt alive, guilty, terrified, and strangely at peace in the wrong place. Those stolen nights settled into a secret rhythm after that, hotel rooms where the world narrowed to her laugh low in the dark. The way she breathed my name like it belonged only to us, the quiet thank you she gave before we dressed and stepped back into our separate lives. It felt like second spring, mutual healing wrapped in vanilla and careful touches that never quite satisfied the ache. I told myself it was harmless, just a people mending what life had worn thin. But last night, Sarah found the stray long blonde hair on my jacket, holding it up between us with eyes narrowing in that quiet way she has when something doesn't add up. "Who's this from?" The question landed soft yet heavy, cracking the foundation we'd built, the risk suddenly breathing down my neck like the storm that started it all. My marriage is one slip, one forgotten scent, one late text away from shattering into pieces I can't glue back together. Still, every morning when her vanilla drifts past my desk, I feel the pull again, stronger than guilt, louder than reason, and I know I'll risk it all once more tonight. Because stopping would mean admitting the fall has already happened, and some part of me wonders if I was ever meant to land safely at all.